Most of the data that you summarize in a pivot table can be divided into easy categories. For example, it can be months, it can be weeks within a month, or it can be departments. In this movie, I will show you how to print individual items or categories on their own page. I will use the Print Each Item sample file, which you can find in the Chapter 7 folder of your exercise files archive. This pivot table contains weekly sales data for a number of months for 5 different departments. What I'd like to do is print each month's data on a separate page. So in other words, on the first printed page, I want January, second printed page, February, and so on. Let's take a look at what the worksheet would look like if I were to print it out as it is right now. To go to the print page or the backstage view, I'll press Control P, and you can see the first page here, and when I click the next page control, you can see the second page. I should note that I used the technique that I taught in the previous movie, which was adding print titles so that the labels here, balance, dance, play, sport, and work, appear at the top of each page. So if you're not sure of how to do that, I recommend you watch the preceding movie in this chapter. Now to go back to the task at hand, which is to print each month on a separate page. I'll click the Go Back button, and now I'll right-click any one of the values that I want to print on a separate page. For example, I want to print by month, in this case, have each month's weeks on its own printed page. So I'll right-click the January value, which is a month, and then from the shortcut menu that appears, click Field Settings. In the Field Settings dialog box, there is the Layout and Print tab, which I'll click. And at the bottom of this tab, you can see that there's an Insert Page Break after each item checkbox, which I will select and click OK. You can probably see that there is a slightly thicker line underneath week 5 for January, slightly darker line underneath week 4 for February, and so on. And when I press Control P to go to the backstage view, you can see that my first printed page displays the weeks for January. Click the next page control, which will take me to pages 1 through 6. Next page is February, March, April, May, and June. And at the bottom of page 6 is the grand total for all sales. Using the Field Settings dialog box is a terrific way to separate out your data. You can print one element at a time, so you can focus on exactly the data you want to work with.